What were your parents totally wrong about? My parents banned all music from our house when my little brother was diagnosed as autistic at age 3. They'd read some article about how modern music overstimulates developing brains and decided silence would help him regulate better. They said that if I kept listening to music, I'd become autistic too. Every speaker, radio, and instrument got removed from our house. They installed soundproofing on the walls and made us wear noise-canceling headphones in the car. If I got caught humming or tapping a rhythm, I'd lose screen privileges for a week. My brother had constant meltdowns. He would rock for hours, hitting his head against walls until his forehead bruised purple and green, screaming at frequencies that made my ears ring for hours afterward. I watched him bite his own arms when overwhelmed, leaving deep teeth marks. My parents covered with long sleeves even in July. They tried everything they could think of, including weighted blankets that cost hundreds of dollars, special diets where we only ate white foods, essential oils that made our house smell like a health store, and behavioral therapy that cost thousands and required driving 3 hours each way. Nothing seemed to make any difference, and some things made him worse. I loved my brother, but living with him could feel suffocating, and there were so few ways I was allowed to enjoy myself out of the house because everything could expose me to music. I couldn't join choir even though I had a decent voice, couldn't go to dances where everyone else was making memories, couldn't study with friends because they always had Spotify playing in the background. I wasn't allowed to shop in stores without noise-canceling headphones in case they were playing music. I even had to watch TV on mute and just watch with subtitles because there could be music in the background. Freshman year, I forged my parents' signature to take piano instead of art class, my hands shaking as I turned in the form. The music teacher was this older woman who didn't ask questions when I begged her to never contact my parents about anything. For 45 minutes every school day, I finally experienced what I'd been missing my entire life. Learning to read notes and create actual melodies felt like discovering I could breathe underwater after years of holding my breath. My fingers would shake for the first 10 minutes of each class from the pure adrenaline of doing something so forbidden. One Saturday, my parents went to another autism conference 2 hours away, leaving me to watch my brother. He'd been escalating all morning, that familiar tension building in his shoulders. Around 2 in the afternoon, he lost it completely. This wasn't a normal meltdown. He grabbed a kitchen knife and started stabbing the walls, then turned it toward his stomach. I tackled him, and we fought on the floor while he screamed. I got the knife, but he ran to the bathroom and started banging his head on the sink so hard I heard something crack. Blood was running down his face, and he kept going harder like he was trying to break through his skull. I begged him to calm down, telling him I loved him and I didn't want him to hurt himself, but it didn't work. I couldn't restrain him, and my parents were too far away. Without thinking, I started humming Fur Elise from piano class. His body went completely rigid like I'd hit a pause button on his entire nervous system. For the first time in years, he stopped moving and just stood there listening. I kept humming, terrified that if I stopped for even a second, he'd start hurting himself again. My throat was getting dry, but I couldn't risk pausing. He sat down on the bathroom floor and began rocking in time with my humming instead of violently slamming his body around. I sang to him for 3 hours straight until my parents came home, tears streaming down my face as I watched my brother finally, impossibly calm. He even started humming along in perfect pitch, which I didn't know he could do. My parents found us on the bathroom floor. When I explained what happened and showed them the knife marks, my mom collapsed, sobbing. The emergency room doctor said my brother had a severe concussion and needed 17 stitches, but I'd probably prevented fatal damage to his temporal artery. Music therapy is actually highly recommended for autism, she said, looking at my parents with barely concealed judgment. It helps with emotional regulation and communication. You should have been using it for years. The next week, my parents bought a piano, guitars, and drums. They enrolled my brother in music therapy where he thrived immediately, going from daily meltdowns to maybe one a week. The therapist taught him simple rhythms that helped him communicate when words couldn't. They signed me up for piano lessons and cried when they heard me play, apologizing for stealing music from my life. For a brief, beautiful moment, I thought we'd finally found balance and my brother could have the stable routine he desperately needed. Then Friday night, my dad called a family meeting with this manic grin that made my stomach drop immediately because I recognized that look from when he'd announced other life-changing decisions. We've been thinking about how music helped both of you, and we were so wrong to keep it from you. So we're dedicating our entire lives to music now. I quit my job yesterday, and your mom withdrew you both from school because we're starting a family band and going on tour next month. I stared at them in horror, and my brother started rocking harder than he had in weeks, his hands flying to cover his ears as he realized his brand new safe routine was about to be destroyed. Full story on the channel below.